Welcome back to the Sips and Sins podcast. We're your hosts, Amanda
and Miranda, two bookish besties who love to spill all things dark romance.
Now grab a drink and strap in while we share all the sinfully delectable things of dark romance reads.
Cheers.
Cheers. We were lucky to read an advanced copy of Decay and Devour, which for me, and this is not just because you were here, 5 stars.
Yes. Literally,
so I have good.
Never read horror romance. Mm-hmm. I honestly need to read more of them because the elements, I'm a huge horror movie person, but I never thought to incorporate that into my reading, but I was sad book.
Yeah, I opened it and I could not put it down. Literally,
oh my God,
almost entirely in one sitting, I read the whole thing.
Oh my gosh, I'm so glad you liked it. Yeah, so it's funny because I'm actually not a super horror fan. Like the horror that's comedy horror, or it's that kind of blends with other genres.
Mm-hmm.
But just horror, I'm too much of a baby. So it's funny, sat down and I actually wrote a horror romance book. And I think maybe it's writing it so I knew what was going to happen. I'm like, oh, I'm not as scared. But there were a few times where I did kind of spook I was like, I'm going to sleep with the lights on for a week.
Yeah. I go see a horror movie and I'm like, hey, let's put on a Disney movie.
Yeah.
Gosh, what movie did we get out of? And I think we both looked at each other and we were like,
oh, was the Matt Nathanson one?
Yes.
There was this, I don't remember, The Haunting of...
Oh, Matthew Nichols.
The Haunting of Matthew Nichols. Oh. It was this found footage horror show or horror movie. And those are her favorite, but oh my God. I was butt clenched freaking out.
Yeah. I do not freak me out too.
I was I'm going to go home and watch Shark Tale.
Yeah. We literally looked at each other. We're like, we're going to go watch a Disney movie. Because
absolutely not.
I love horror. I love being scared in the moment. Horror movie. And I love when I'm on the edge of my seat. I feel my heart racing and then I get out of it and I'm like, now how am I going to sleep tonight?
Yeah.
That really is just a pile of clothes in my room. It's not a person.
It's not a person.
No, especially I also have those moments where you're watching something and I feel like also, movie creators or horror, storytellers gotten to the point where they know when they expect a jump scare.
Yeah.
And so they do not give it to you. They prolong it just a little bit more and then it actually scares you. Yeah. So you're literally sitting there with your face and then you think it's going to happen and then it doesn't. And you're like, oh, and then it happens.
And then it happened.
You calm down just a little bit and then it was bam.
Yeah.
You're like,
yeah. Oh. No, because I had a few moments with that in your book. By the way, we are going to talk spoilers. I hope that's okay.
Wait, yeah, okay, tell me.
When Kate gets her period,
okay,
in this open field, I'm like, no, wait, this is so hot.
Yeah, right.
Especially because Jordan made it such a point to say that it was her blood, her scent. I'm like, ma'am, I understand you wanting to, but come on.
I know. I was like, it didn't happen. I was like, oh, okay, I'm good.
I know, because I was like, they're going from house to house and building to building. And I was like, we got to do it outside. I don't know. At some point, I was just brainstorming about this book. And I just had the thought of they should do it outside. So I was like, okay, that's great. But yeah, no. And I think that also her blood in particular, scenting the non-infected blood, because there were earlier in the book, you were completely understand why you would expect it in that moment too. Yeah,
absolutely. Especially because Jordan made it a point to be well, you need to have my scent on you, or else you're gonna attract all these other infected. Speaking of sitting down and writing the book, was there anything that inspired you to write this book?
Yeah, so there are actually a few video games that inspired it. I am not a gamer. I don't have or the anxiety to be able to play them. So I'm one of those people where if I'm playing a game that, you have to dodge death or whatever, I'm jumping all around because I forget how to use the controllers. So like I'm useless. There are times where I just love the graphics and I love the storytelling that they have. And so I will actually like people play them because I want to see the storyline.
Yeah.
And I mean, sort of like The Last of Us, you know, that I feel like was there was like the big game and then, you know, the show. And that one has a great storyline for both games. But there's one video game in particular called Days Gone. And it is a like zombie apocalypse. And you're playing this guy who's trying to find his wife. And there's all of this, you know, zombie stuff going on. But what really was interesting to me was at the end of the first game, there is this moment where he has a contact with a medical researcher on the outside. And, you know, he's constantly being sent into these like different scenarios by this medical researcher of like, you need to do this and you need to find this person and, you know, whatever to like move the game along, right? At the end, you finally meet him like face to face again. And he's got like a hazmat suit on and you can't see like with the like little, not mirror, but
yeah, it's
yeah,
like the
little window.
the window, you know, you're talking to him and the medical researcher says like, I'm here to warn you that everything is not like as it seems. And he takes off his helmet and he is a zombie, but he is fully aware of himself. And at some point, like his voice kind of goes in and out where it sounds like him, but then it also sounds like this deep kind of like monstrous voice. And then he basically says like, this was a setup from the entire beginning. Like higher ups in his company knew about it. And, you know,
so that's Dr. Parker.
yeah, like you did all of this
Yeah.
work and there's no curing this. There's no cure. And then the helicopter takes off and he jumps into the helicopter and that's the end of the game. So it leaves you with like, holy shit, you spent all this time in the game trying to find a cure and figure out what to do. And this is the end. So that I was really inspired by that, but also the idea of like, I'm more scared of zombies that are infected versus those that die and are reanimated. Like,
Yeah.
I think that's a lot scarier. And it makes me wonder, like, are you still in there?
Yeah.
Is the virus kind of taking over your body? Are you actually dead? So that was where I got the idea for Jordan specifically, and a little bit about the world too, but mostly about Jordan. Like, what would it be like to be infected and kind of see your body moving without your control?
Yeah.
And then also, what does it mean when you kind of come to and you're like, I can't be with other zombies anymore, but I also can't be with non-infected people.
Yeah.
So yeah, that was kind of like the inspiration that like really started to kick off the book.
I absolutely love that. I was telling Miranda before this, like the vibes that I was getting from your book was the movie Warm Bodies. Have you ever seen that?
Yeah.
Okay. Like the whole time I'm reading this, I was like, oh my God, like this is the lesbian version. I'm so happy right now.
Yeah. No, literally.
Like, so great.
I love that, especially the part I had considered including this, but then I was like, it's too close to Warm Bodies where like he is like eating the brains and it's like giving him the memories of other people.
Oh yeah.
And it's like making him more
human. Yeah.
And I was like, that would be cool. But then I was like, I don't think I want to write Jordan eating people's brains. I think we're fine without that.
Yeah.
I also like on like the horror aspect of it, I got like 28 days later because it was confined to the island. And I loved I think it really for me kept me guessing. And I was like, okay, so is it actually confined to the island? Because I know that that's something that Kate and Jordan even asked, like, how can it truly be confined to the island, or did it spread? And then I remember the scene when they're in the house and they're listening to the radio. Pastor is like, oh, it's Remembrance Day. Everyone is dead. And I feel like that was the first time it clicked for me. And I was like, ooh, this is not what it seems, because why does everyone else think that they're dead? But yet they're still getting supply drops. So I'm like, And then you kind of get like that almost like that horror mystery element to it of like what's actually going on. And I really like that you kind of kept us on our toes until the very end with Dr. Parker and the whole reveal.
That's why I couldn't put it down. I was like,
I need to know what happens.
I was like, okay, it's 11 o'clock at night. I should go. What the hell happens next?
No, 28 Days Later fucked me up. The like fast zombies, I do not fuck with personally. Like, I can't. And like, no, it was 28 Days Later. And then there was another movie where they were fast. And I was like, I can't.
I'm too out of shape for this. I would just give up.
I feel like it was like World War Z.
Yes. That one. Yeah, I remember. And that one was also like they were fast, but then you found out that like they were not like trying to infect people that were already sick. And I was kind of inspired by that book as well. I read that so long ago, so it's like my memories of it are fuzzy, but like I loved how it was kind of written as like patient zero came from this location, and this is what happened with this, and it was kind of like medical in a sense. I'm really like fascinated by that, and I think that's why also the creating that type of virus for this book is really fun, because I'm like, okay, how exactly does a virus mutate, and what strain are we giving this person, and what does the strain look like?
Kind of going back to you writing and your writing style, you wrote some pretty complex characters, at least in my opinion, in this book. Jordan essentially is, two entities in one being who have merged together. And so on top of, her guilt that she has for harming other people, for not being able or not being in control of her body, she also, I think struggles with depression, anxiety, and
grief over losing Sarah.
Grief and so much guilt over what she had to do for Sarah, especially, now that she's infected and can also, in a sense, be herself. She struggles with like, well, did I make the right decision? Could Sarah have also been like this, How important do you feel it is to have those complex but also relatable characters in your story?
Yeah, I think one of my favorite things to do when I write is really understand psychologically where each character is and look at the situations that they're in and think, well, how would they be impacted? Like, how would their mental health be impacted by this? And like, where in their mental health would make them kind of react this way, and like kind of like that. I also just think that I love to write characters that are kind of traumatized, because I think that's just the human condition. And there's something really cathartic for me about doing that and really sitting down and thinking like, okay, if this character is in this position where they come to and they've had no control over what they've done and they've done some horrible shit, like that would really fuck anybody up.
Oh, yeah.
So how is she gonna then continue to live with that and like cope with that? And then I think for Kate as well, it's funny because I feel like this is my fourth book that I've published, but out of all the characters that I've written, I find that I love them all equally. Like they are my children. But I find that I love the FMCs that other people don't seem to love as much. Like I have gotten the feedback that everyone loves Jordan. Like everybody loves her. She is so complex. And I'm sitting here like, oh, but I love Kate. Not more, but in a very different way. And I think I could see how people would be kind of annoyed by her because she is kind of idealistic. Like, she really wants to go back to the way things were, misses what her life was before all of this happened. And I think that would be the case for everybody that's living in this kind of world. And how she's kind of carrying this hope with her that is, to the reader, potentially a little naive. But to her, she's like, well, we're working on a vaccine. And, I don't really have all of the details, but I know that like we're working on it. And watching her slowly kind of almost come to reality and grappling with that, I think was something that I really loved about writing her. Like, I didn't want to write her as like a head researcher that knows everything and like can, go through. Because I felt like if I wrote her like that, it would just be so much medical jargon that would be kind of boring. Like,
yeah,
this is,
absolutely.
it's not like a medical
or sci-fi. It's horror romance.
Yeah. So like, I think also like seeing it from the perspective of, okay, well, there's a lot of people that, what would they do in a zombie apocalypse?
Yeah.
Like, I don't think that I have any survival skills.
Same.
So like, what
I would
would
die
we
first.
do? Like,
I've come to terms with that.
right. Like, if you were to survive, what skills would you bring to like a safe zone? I'm like, I don't think anything. I think I would just be like extra another mouth to feed, and they're like annoyed by it, which is fair. But yeah, I think something like really getting into psychologically like where my characters are and letting them kind of show me what direction they would take because of their psyche is really like a big part of my process.
Back onto Kate's character, because there was one thing that I felt was super relatable, and you kind of brought it up, is, she wants everything to go back to the way it was. But I feel, and correct me if I'm wrong, I feel like her main motivation was when Harry got infected. And she just has this drive, like, it has to go back. He's the only person that I have, like, I need him back in my life. And she's so focused on that she's not really even, I guess what I found was relatable was like the moment when her and Jordan are walking and she's ran out of water and she's not asking for the things that she needs. And Jordan's like, bitch, speak up, and she's like, I don't want to be a burden. And I'm like, girl, if you want anything in life, you got to be a burden.
Yeah.
But I felt like that was so fucking relatable because I never ask for what I need,
Especially when you have those moments where she has those internal spirals of, am I actually doing anything? Am I actually worth it? Will me going back actually help in any way? And the thing I think I love the most about both Jordan and Kate is Jordan is very much logical in the sense of there probably isn't a vaccine. There probably isn't a cure. And I feel like Jordan, as much as she doesn't want to, she has accepted that. Whereas Kate is the idealistic. So I think that because they are so polar opposite, I think throughout the story, Jordan helps Kate realize that they're never going back to how things were, but Kate gives Jordan a reason to keep going. And I think I love that so much because I feel like in that situation, or even just when you're with someone who is opposite in that way, you give parts of yourself and you bring out parts of the other person. And I think that that's really what I love the most about Jordan and Kate.
Also, Kate is struggling because she wants to be so helpful, but Jordan knows how to do all of this survivalist stuff. So Kate kind of feels like dead weight. Like she's, dragging Jordan along on this, wild goose chase potentially. And Jordan is the one that has to, prepare all of their food and make sure they find a place to sleep. And Kate is just kind of like, I don't even know what I
do. Yeah, what I'm bringing to the table right now. Like, how am I helping us survive? I'm not,
Right.
When in reality, she is helping Jordan survive.
I was gonna say, when Jordan goes, you're helping in a like more than or in a different way. I really love that because I think Jordan recognized that in Kate. Kate was having those thoughts of, I'm such a burden, I'm dead weight, I don't like, what am I even doing? And Jordan was like, I want to do this. You're helping me in a different way.
Yeah.
Yeah. Jordan's like, I want to be by you, so like it's fine. Like it's really okay.
She's like, I'm just here to be with you, girl.
Yeah, literally. And I like every time that I write, I find that I love when the characters are coming from almost opposite ends of somewhere and they almost have opposite arcs to where it like meets them in the middle. And it's like what you were saying of, they're helping each other kind of reach one another.
Yeah.
And so they have to have this, arc that ties them together, and then they kind of end up in the same place. And I've done that with my other characters as well. Like they both kind of push one another in a way that gets them closer together and they realize what they need in one another.
Yeah, I definitely recognize that in Let the Mask Fall also.
Yeah.
Yeah, because she was always like, you have a dark side. And she's like, no, I don't. And then guess what? They did.
Yeah.
Right. And when Danielle is kind of like, I've been able to read you like this whole time. Like, it's very clear that you are expressing these emotions and maybe people aren't paying attention, or like you just are not seeing yourself objectively, but like I'm seeing that in you. And so they kind of end up meeting in the middle by helping one another. So yeah, Kate and Jordan, it's very like
similar in that aspect.
Very similar. Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. Speaking still on your characters, do you feel like there was one that you had more fun writing?
I feel like I actually kind of feel like the Beast is a separate character.
Mm-hmm.
It's kind of like a third character that I really did love to sit down and think through, like the Beast's motivations and, at what point does it step in and take control over Jordan versus when is it kind of just in her mind. So I think that one was probably the most fun. And I find that I like to write, like, the most fun for me are the characters that are more unhinged. Like, there's no, so I
There's
find
almost
that
no like real rules to writing an unhinged character. Yeah. You just
right.
Full send it all the way.
Right. Like full steam ahead. We're just doing whatever the hell we want. And yeah, so I think The Beast honestly was the most fun to write.
Did you feel like there was one scene in particular that was the hardest to write for you? Either because it was emotional?
Yeah, I actually rewrote the ending like 4 times.
Really?
The first time, well, actually, I feel like the first few times in my mind, I just could not figure out where I saw them. Like, I could not figure out what was going to be a happily ever after for these two. And originally, I was like, okay, well, maybe the only option is that the cure, we find it and Jordan is cured and then they're together. And as I continue to work on the book, I was just like, I don't think that is really, it seems like, these characters are doing all of this work and we're building up to this thing. And then suddenly we have it just didn't feel like authentic to them.
Yeah.
It would feel very idealistic, I think. It would be almost like too perfect of an ending.
Yeah. And so I really struggled with the ending at first. It just wasn't like working. And then I don't even remember at what point I was like, okay, this is how it's going to end. But once I had it written down, I was like, okay, I feel comfortable with this as their ending. And I know that, it may seem, it's a little bit open-ended, it's a little bit unconventional, but at the end of the day, like they are together.
Yeah.
And
the ending, by the way.
Yeah.
Oh, you do? Okay,
I love
good.
it.
Yeah. It was like one of the first things that we talked about when we got together today. We're like, we both really loved the ending because it was so open-ended. It even got us thinking, I was like, well, is she like leaving it open-ended to write a different story, maybe about the journalist, maybe about Michelle, maybe about Helena? Like, we're like, okay, I want more, girl. But also, we're just super fucking happy that Jordan and Kate get to be together in their own regard, and not just, Kate's human and Jordan might die someday from the infection. Now they get to die together if that happens.
Yeah, because for me, I'm like, I want all characters, like all mine and like in other books, I'm like, they have to be together forever. They can never die and they always have to be happy. Like that's what I want as a reader. So I'm like, I always want to provide that in my books. Yeah, I felt like this was the best way to make it that they are also more on equal footing, because throughout the book, Jordan is essentially saving Kate, like physically, and is always having to step up physically. And so I wanted to kind of bridge that gap where Jordan doesn't necessarily have to do that in the future. I have been asked if it's going to be a duology. I don't think it would be another book of these two, but I do have others that I've been thinking about.
Kind of interconnected, but not on their own story. Okay.
Yeah. So I'm just thinking through like what the world is gonna, like how that's gonna evolve, and understanding the characters that I want to write about a little bit more, like what that's gonna look like. But yeah, so I think the ending was probably the most difficult But once I got it, I was like, okay, we're good now.
Yeah. I think my favorite
you.
part about the ending is like the entire book up until that point, Jordan is fighting the beast's desire to bite Kate. And Kate lives with that fear of, is Jordan going to turn on me and bite me? And so seeing that, Kate was the one who asked Jordan, I think that also shows like a character arc and character growth. And I think that shows that Kate's feelings for Jordan outweighs that initial fear that she had.
Oh,
Yeah.
And then Jordan, of course, then feels more solid in the relationship and is okay with doing that. So I think
and you get to see the beast even go, now she's ready.
Yeah.
Where it was cool to see that, like, they struggled with that desire to bite her and infect her, but also even the beast was like,
she's not ready yet.
Consent
is key.
Yeah, exactly.
So did you always know from the beginning that Harry is not going to be able to survive and be cured? Because obviously that was a driving force for Kate for almost the entire book.
No, I didn't. Originally, I had, with the ending that I did of the cure existing, Harry was going to get to live. I tried to think about, like, okay, if it's a zombie apocalypse, like, how likely is it that you are going to get to save your loved ones? Or, like, how realistic is it that, oh, we get a cure, but he's been a zombie for like a year? He's been turned for, some time. How likely is that going to happen? And I feel like Kate figuring out that she cannot cure him, I think was really the last piece for her of like, oh, okay, like this is done and I have to like let this go. Like I have to move forward. And I think that if they were living in a world where Harry got to live, I don't think that Kate would then want Jordan to turn her.
Yeah.
And so I think it wouldn't have really worked out, which is sad. Like it's sad, but like shit happens.
It's a complex story because there is, grief, guilt, and love, but I think ultimately, like, what is at the end of it is acceptance. It's kind of comforting almost to know that you were like, well, at first I wanted to save him, but better story.
Well, that too. I feel like it was also a metaphor. Like you said, that was the last thing she was holding on to. And I feel like in order for her to move forward with Jordan, she had to kind of like clip that cord of the life before the infection. And I think that Harry was the last thing she was kind of holding on to. So what was the symbolism for Sarah coming to Jordan as a butterfly?
I am just as an individual, like I'm fascinated by butterflies. They are such like dainty little creatures, but we have like the monarch butterflies that make this like huge trek from Canada all the way down to Mexico, like this migration. And when you think about this tiny little creature that has these very delicate wings flying all the way from, one end to the other and then doing it again, like I just think about what intense resilience. And I actually also, this is maybe like nerdy, but whatever. But they, along the coast of California, like they will track how many monarch butterflies they get every migration. And they noticed that they were having dwindling numbers, of course, with climate change. But I think it was like a couple of years ago, they had like this massive boom. It was like so many monarch butterflies were stopping in California along the coast to kind of rest before they make the rest of the trip. So I think just the juxtaposition of this like delicate creature doing something so incredibly difficult and how much resilience that needs. And also, like, I know that there are so many animals that signify, death and rebirth, and butterflies are one of them. And I just felt like it would be the best symbol because there are moments when Sarah visits Jordan. And I think there's one moment when they're up in the mountains and like there's snow. So you would not expect to see any butterflies, right?
Yeah.
So then when Jordan sees Sarah, she's like, oh my, like in a second, she's kind of like, oh, okay, like this is clearly her. I wanted to make it clear of like so much that we don't know about death. And we have so many, we try to see like the symbolism and everything. And like, especially for those that have lost someone close, they're like, oh, this person sends me this animal or this sign. And you sometimes wonder if it really is a sign or it's just a coincidence. I wanted it to kind of be clear, like, it's not a coincidence in this world. Like, it's very clear.
And I like how you mentioned that you wanted it to be clear that it was actually a sign and more than just like the manifestation of her guilt and grief. Because I feel like you said when you lose someone close, sometimes you almost look for those signs. And it could be interpreted of, oh, well, Jordan's just seeing butterflies and equating it to Sarah because of her guilt or her grief. And I like that you're like, no, it was Sarah. She was coming to her. And I think especially when those moments happened, it was when she was in the headspace of, one time was, I need to let her go. I need to let Kate go. And Sarah came. And I feel like that was just like her way of saying, it's okay. Take a breath.
Yeah.
Everything will be okay. Or when she was having the panic attack and Sarah was there, it was like, fine, okay. Everything is going to be okay. Yeah. And I really like that because I like that you didn't just erase Sarah. I like that you still wove her in to the story and to get Jordan where she needed to be with Kate in the very end.
Yeah, because they both have, I mean, like they've lost everyone in their lives, right? But like they have one person, like Kate has her brother, and then Jordan has Sarah, where it's like the one person that kind of keeps them grounded or keeps them going. And, death can just be so overwhelming. So it's like them both having one person that they've lost to kind of almost anchor them was kind of my thought process there.
Yeah, I really liked when Jordan talked to Kate about Sarah and explained it. And I love that she didn't want to give her empty words. And I remember that kind of internal monologue of Kate's like, what do I even say? Like, I'm sorry, that's horrible. They're empty words. And I love that Kate was able to recognize that because I feel like when you lose someone and you talked about them to someone, the automatic response of, I'm so sorry for your loss. I'm so sorry. And to that, it's like, while I appreciate the sentiment,
it doesn't do anything.
It doesn't really do anything because what are you supposed to say? It's okay. It's not okay.
Right.
I'm leaving this person. And so I love that Kate was just like so understanding because I feel like in her own way, she lost her parents and then the whole thing with Harry. So I love that she was able to recognize that in that moment, Jordan didn't need those empty words. Yeah. She just needed someone to vocalize Sarah too. And I love that Kate was that person for her.
Yeah. You wrote grief in a really great complex way in this book.
Thank you.
And in a book that, yes, there's grief in it, but is not centered around grief, it was very beautifully done.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think because like grief becomes a part, it like becomes a part of who you are. And it's something that, as we've said, like it doesn't go away, but you kind of grow with it and around it. And I'm also a big believer in like how, like, I'm not religious, but I'm very like, matter is not created or destroyed. It just changes. And so anytime, someone says like, oh, this is a symbol of this person that has passed, I'm like, I fully believe that. Like, I fully believe that is really what's going on. And yeah, so I think I wanted to make sure that their grief wasn't like all consuming in that it became the only thing about them. Because I think there's also something healthy about remembering that you are a person outside of grief. And also, you're right, like not having that almost like awkward interaction of like, oh, I'm sorry for your loss. And then you're like, okay, like, because
Thanks.
like it puts you in like an awkward position. I'm also very big on like writing characters that are experiencing these quote unquote bad emotions. Like I love depression. That sounds bad.
The most relatable thing out there is depression.
And like, characters that are grieving and traumatized and also like angry. Because I feel like we look at these emotions and these experiences, and a lot of the time, people don't want to deal with that in themselves and also with other people. So I actually love getting to explore that with my characters and like let them grieve, but also not making them like a two-dimensional character. And it only be their grief or their anger. Yeah.
I really like that. That was a really great answer.
Yeah.
And it really does come through within your books. how you want to portray it. It really does.
Okay, good.
So moving past the grief,
Yeah.
if something maybe a little more happier, if there was a song or an anthem that you would assign this book, or maybe even just Kate and Jordan's relationship, or maybe you have a playlist. I know some books do. What would that be?
Sometimes I'm on and off. Like if I'm writing, sometimes I need it to be silent, or I'll listen to the same song on repeat so that I'm like getting the vibe of the song, but it's not like taking my focus away from what I'm doing. So I listened a lot to Evanescence when I wrote this book.
Oh, I love
that.
Evanescence.
Specifically their second album. Sometimes there's like a few songs that I'll listen to when I write spicy scenes. That like I'll kind of, depending on how I want the scene to go, I'm like, okay, this is more the vibe or this one's more the vibe. Unfortunately, because my books are a little bit darker, the music is not necessarily uplifting.
Fair.
That's so fair.
It's not, you know, like happy. I will say like my debut was definitely on the lighter side in the beginning. So I did listen to like the Barbie soundtrack.
Okay.
I love that.
But for the rest after that, as I've kind of dipped into like darker books, but I feel like I have a lot of staples like Sleep Token, I feel like is always on.
I was going to say, I got Sleep Token vibes for sure.
Say, like
Provider.
That's what I was going to say.
Yeah, I love Sleep Token and Bad Omens. They like kind of bounce back and forth. I listen to some Ethel Kane because sometimes like her vibe is just perfect from Preacher's Daughter.
I love that. I was like with Provider, I was thinking like the spicy scenes between Kate and Jordan, but also like Jordan really is such a provider.
Like literally a provider of like everything.
Exactly.
So do you think that Jordan was pivotal in Kate reconciling the before and the after?
Yeah. I really don't think that like I don't think that either of them could have gotten to where they need to be without one another. But I think that if Kate realized that a cure and a vaccine were not happening and she did not have Jordan, I don't even know how she would get through all of that. So I think they really lean on each other and would continue to lean on one another.
Yeah, I definitely got that, especially when at the very end, when, they're getting on the helicopter and, Kate looks at Jordan, she was like, I have to let Harry go, don't I? And Jordan's like, yeah, you do. And I think that in itself, like you said, I don't even know what Kate would have done because I feel like her entire existence prior to meeting Jordan was saving her brother. And so to find out that everything essentially was a lie the entire time would have been way more devastating than it was since she had Jordan.
Yeah. I also feel like another pivotal moment was for Jordan would be when they saw the horses and Kate had full opportunity to just run off, like they were saddled up, they were ready to go.
Yeah.
Kate did the complete opposite. She had this really beautiful moment with the horses and said, be free. And that was also her way of letting go of the guilt about Sal.
One question that I have, because I don't think it was addressed, how was Dr. Parker infected?
Yeah. So originally I was not going to have him infected, but with Dr. Parker. So I think it's chapter 1 where we talk about like how the infection kind of started, and it started in the labs and they were, doing these they were conducting this research on infected mice, and a researcher got bit, and then that's how it started. That is kind of what I was thinking to myself was going to mirror, because like they're trying to work on a vaccine. They're going to be working with, live. They weren't going to work with people because that's too difficult. Like having a zombie down there and conducting experiments on them, like that would be way too difficult. Not to mention like ethically, that's horrible. But, like logistically, also a pain. So with Parker like being in the labs and working so closely with the virus, like it was only a matter of time before that would happen. Like we're looking at a virus that is so like easily spread. It's kind of a miracle that they've lasted as long as they have, considering they have, they don't have regular like supply drops. They don't really have electricity. Like the fact that they're able to kind of keep their lab running is a miracle in its own. So it was only a matter of time before
someone got infected.
Yeah.
I think my favorite thing about like you not really diving into how it happened is we're kind of left to form our own opinions.
Yeah.
It's like we were talking and we're like, well, was he infected from the beginning? Because Taylor even said, oh, well, I found a cure, but it only lasts for so long. I'm like, so was that there the whole time? Was Dr. Parker just taking it and like holding off the symptoms? And I really like that, like, you didn't give an exact reason of how it happened. So you're kind of left like, how did this happen? Like, was it just a mishap and he got bit, or was it there the whole time? Because, you know, by the end, you learn that it was all basically conducted by the government. They are the ones who are like, there's this virus. We're sending you in to see if you can fix it, and or if it'll just destroy everything. And so I like that you kind of left that open ended, because then you have the reader kind of form their own opinion of, what happened?
Yeah. In my mind, what happened is like he becomes infected at some point after Kate leaves. So that gives, in my mind, them enough time to like, okay, well, they've figured out a treatment, but it's not long lasting. And who are they going to treat first?
Yeah.
And that is also when Taylor is like a little cagey about speaking to Kate about it, of like, well, we found it, but like, I think I would rather have Parker tell you. Like, I don't want to. Yeah. So that was kind of what I was thinking. But I was also like, I also didn't include that in the text because Kate wasn't there.
Right.
So I'm like, the only way that Kate would know that is if someone just sat down and told her. And I feel like the reveal was a better option than like just telling her and then.
Oh, 100%. I was shocked. Like when she walked into the room and he was like having those symptoms, I was like, oh, like
I was like, shit's about to hit the fan.
Yeah. And then it happened. And I was just like, because even Jordan, when she was with Helena, heard the gunshots. And I was like, oh, so like everything's just kind of like falling apart. Yeah, what Dr. Parker did, the lying, the manipulation, that is horrible. But I do love that you gave him kind of not a redemption arc per se, but I do like that he was like, take the notebook. I love that he at the very end was like, I fucked up. Yeah. Like I played a very big part of this. And I think that in and of itself is like crazy, because obviously the government didn't care. But like watching him kind of have that kind of like come to Jesus moment, so to speak. Like, I'm gonna die. I need to clear my conscience before whatever happens to me. And I love that he had that redemption arc, because obviously Kate looked up to him. That was you did a really good job of portraying how much people looked up to Dr. Parker, because even when she was explaining to Jordan, like
their only hope,
like Dr. Parker rallied us together. Now we know it was for ulterior motives, but I love that like she was able to kind of have that ending of, reconciling, like, this is the person who caused it, but also he is now trying to do good, like do better.
And I think like Parker isn't the like big bad villain. So I wanted to make it so that the reader doesn't like, you think that in the moment, and then as you continue on, you're like, okay, actually, no, it's not.
Yeah,
that's exactly how I thought. I was like, oh wow. At first I was like, fuck you, like, you're a dick. Why would you do that? And then
then it's like, oh, this is so much bigger than him.
Yeah.
And also, like, yes, he is there with this horrible intent that dooms this island. And like, not to justify a man's behavior, but like when you when you like zoom out, it's like, okay, he is like one cog in the machine. And when he's on the island, he is like helping, keep at least this group of people safe. Yes, he has these ulterior motives, but like when we kind of think about it, it's like, okay, the intent versus the impact here. Like, he's part of the problem, but he himself is not the problem. So yeah, that was kind of like my thought behind him as a character.
I like that.
Yeah.
I like the psychology of it, because I feel like outside of it being a horror romance, I do think you deal with a lot of psychological, you deal with the mental health, the grief, the trauma, and again, the impact versus the intent. So I like that you were able to meld so many different aspects into such a beautifully written story. And I feel like there was so many different times in the story where I was like, holy shit, like, There were so many impactful moments, but there was also so many moments where I was like, oh my God, what's going to happen? Like my heart was racing and I was like, oh my God, what, like, is something going to happen right now? And then, like, there were those moments when Kate was tied to the bed and the infected came in. I was like, oh my God,
yeah.
oh my God. Or when they're in the tunnels and
the shadow stalker.
Yeah, I was like,
the whole time I was like, bitch, you have a flamethrower, use it.
I'm okay. And Kate's like, you're
not.
The underground tunnels are like fucked me up. Like the visual that I had, I sent them to an artist that I worked with to do the shadow stalker art, and I was like, this is what it's based on. It's based on here in Chicago we have like underground tunnels that a lot of us use when it's like freezing outside, and so we go from like, one building to then, the courthouse and then to the L. Like it gives us ways so that we don't have to walk outside downtown. And like there's a bunch of shit down there. There's like so many stores and like coffee shops and like, a grocery store and stuff. So
interesting.
Yeah. So like that's what I was really thinking. But I like was looking up photos to explain it to the artist, and they all looked so creepy. And I'm like, like it never looks creepy to me when I'm down there. But from these photos, it looks like so dingy and like haunted. So I guess it's like the right vibe that she needed. But yeah, so that was kind of my like mental imagery doing it. But yeah, no, even writing that, I was like, oh my God. Like,
yeah, that was pretty creepy. Kind of like the visual that I had in my head. I was like, I would not want to be down there.
Especially because, like, they only thought they were dealing with the raiders, and then you have the shadow stalker, and like, up until that point, it's, oh well, they're not really here anymore.
Yes, they are.
Bet. Hold my beer. Yes, I am.
Yeah, they are. I also like base them a little bit off of a different video game and specifically the part where like the jaw like opens.
Oh,
I remember seeing that like zombie in the video game, and I was like, oh my God. I was like, that's the scariest thing I've ever seen. So I was like, I have to have them do that.
Yeah, I love that you took inspiration from game, because like I play Fallout 76 with my husband a lot.
Okay.
And so like some of the time with like the zombies, I thought of like the ghouls, like the feral ghouls in Fallout. And then because obviously I don't know if you've ever seen the show, but there's also like the cognizant ghoul. And so like kind of like the vibe I was getting of like the feral ones were the infected and Jordan was more like obviously conscious. And I was just like, I love being able to like almost like meld my two interests of like, this is like I can think about it and be like, like this reminds me of this. And I'm like, this is so fun. Like,
it makes it even more, like you said, more fun.
And I also am a big fan of like genre blending. So it's like, it's not firmly horror. It's like technically there's like a little sci-fi in it because of the virus, and like also we have the romance part, and then it's like sort of monster romance because like in a sense, but it's not like, so yeah, I'm the same way of like, I love referencing things that I've like other media that I've also consumed, and like kind of taking that general like, okay, yeah, because I've watched the show, so I'm like familiar with the ghouls too. And so it's like taking that kind of idea and then you'd like run with it in your own imagination is like really fun for me too.
The Naked and Afraid reference was great.
Oh yes.
It's like, I was like, I know I can't say the show title, but everyone will know what I'm talking about. So.
I love that so much. I read that and I literally giggled. I was like, I did too. I know what that is.
Oh, that was fun. So I'm curious, have you always known that you wanted to write sapphic dark novels?
I've actually been thinking a lot about this. I think just because of Pride and just like this general time of year, like thinking back on queer representation in media growing up and how different it looks for kids now. Like, I'm not even going to say that I'm old, but I feel like so much has changed in a short amount of time in terms of like queer representation in media. Like, there would be, shows where we would get like maybe one sapphic couple and it would just be like crumbs, like you wouldn't really get much, or like I always struggle whenever they don't end up together. they die or they have like a tragic ending or they don't end up together, that always, I'm like, I can't manage that. I can't. They have to be together and happy forever. So that was a really big driver for me when I started writing sapphic, is like my characters are definitely going to go through some shit. Like I'm not going to pretend that it's going to be all like happy all the time, and they're going to have to like get through a lot of shit, but they will end up happy together at the end, because that is something that I desperately wanted growing up to see. I'm like, why are none of these lesbians together anymore? And like they're all miserable or dead. Like, what the hell?
Yes.
And I do think it's interesting also, like, you know, we're seeing so much popularity with romance, especially like with heated rivalry among like so many others. And I'm like, I love romance as well, but I'm also like, where are the sapphics? Like, I want more. I want them all. I want them to just be happy all the time. Like, so yeah, I think that was really my driving force of writing sapphic. I will say though, I have always known that like I will not only write sapphic. I know that eventually like I'll kind of like jump around to other pairings. But sapphic is always at the top of my mind. Like all the other book ideas that I have, aside from one that I'm sending to an editor like later this week, that one's MF. The rest are all sapphic ideas. So yeah, I mean, I'll have like an MF pairing here and there, but otherwise it'll be sapphic for the time being, I think.
I love that. And one thing that I love about your books is that you do meld so many different types of genres with the sapphic. It's not just like, oh, I just need, the love interest to be female and female,
Yeah.
No, it's also dark. It's also funny. It's also horror. It's also a little sci-fi. It's also a little realistic. And then, on top of that, you bring in the sapphic element to it. And I think it just blends really well.
Like I read a lot of romance. Like that has been my primary genre for quite a bit now. But like I feel like sapphic is so underrepresented. Like you can go on Kindle, type in romance, and you'll have thousands and thousands and thousands. And with Rena Kent, and again, that Fury was my very first romance. Like I holds a very special place in my heart, and I love romances. But for me, it's sapphic also deserves its time to shine. And I feel like with heated rivalry, like you said, there's been such an uptick in like showcasing romances where it's like, okay, well, there's other queer representations that you could also highlight. And
and I think also a lot of I don't even know if I would categorize it as sapphic, but like lesbian, bisexual, queer representation for female characters, right, have been overly sexualized. And I know that that's almost ironic to say when we're talking about smut, right? But it's smut written by women is so different than just, the over sexualization of women who love women.
I even think about like the reaction to, do either of you, have you watched Bridgerton?
Yes.
Like the reaction to there being a sapphic season seemed so incredibly negative from the general like population that it really was another reminder of like, oh yeah, like it is underrepresented, which also is crazy because thinking even like 5-10 years ago, there was like way more now than there was then. So it's like, yes, we've come a long way in that regard because there is more, but we still also aren't seeing enough. I also am just a lover of like messy, complex characters. And that's why I also love to write sapphic, is I'm like, I want them to be messy and complex, and I want them to like have a little toxicity. Like we see toxicity in all other pairings. Like let's get some sapphic toxicity in here.
Well, yeah, and it's like the reason why I love romances so much is because to me they're on equal footing. And that's why I've realized that that's what I love about sapphic. Like, don't get me wrong, I love a good MF romance, but like for me, and FF romances, they're on equal footing. Like they are the same exact gender. They have, some of this, like the thought processes. Like, and that's why I think I loved Jordan and Kate is like, you know how to please yourself, so you're going to be able to please your partner. And so that's why I love those pairings, because to me it's like it makes that emotional connection almost deeper.
Yeah, and I think like there is this kind of like power balance as well, like because when I think about, okay, could I have made Jordan a man? I just don't feel like it would have worked the same. I feel like,
Yeah.
there's already a power imbalance in an MF pairing. And then, because, there's a power imbalance between Jordan and Kate to a certain degree. Like, Jordan is stronger than she is. But the idea of like having a male zombie lead, it did not appeal to me at all.
Yeah.
I was like, that doesn't feel sexy. That feels threatening. And I don't want
stereotypical almost,
Yes.
like how you would expect it to be. The man is the one who is, the physical provider and taking care of Kate. I really like that you kind of gave Jordan that role without being stereotypical. There was a reason why Jordan had that footing over Kate, but at the same time, Kate had more of not that Jordan was not in touch with her emotions, but I feel like Kate had more of like the positive emotions. And so I think that Kate in that regard had to step up over Jordan. But at the end of the day, when you look at them together, they're both women. They both, struggle with similar things, especially with, Kate getting her period and Jordan knowing and like being able to help her through it. I was like, you know what?
Yes.
We love that.
Right.
Out of everything that you've written and published, do you have a favorite story? And if so, where can readers find it?
Oh my gosh. There is that meme where it's Arrested Development and it's Lucille Ball and she's like, I don't know what you're talking about. I love all my children equally.
Oh, yes.
And then it pans to her and she's like, I don't care for Job. Like that's almost that's almost how I feel, because it's like I love all of my stories in different ways almost. I think my debut, When Flowers Wilt and then When Death Blooms, is the sequel. They are quite dark, but I think I love them because they were my like first. And I think also like those books really helped me work through some shit that I didn't really need to work through with the other books. I have like a very special place in my heart for their story. I also love Let the Mask Fall as well, because it's like just two unhinged women being unhinged and horny. Like, just like that's all they do. Like, and they do other like questionable stuff, but like it's fine.
It's not like they like kill people or
no, they would do nothing more morally questionable ever. So I love them for that, because that was also a nice way to like, I think, really tap into my love for anger as an emotion. I think that was really helpful. So I love it for that. And then Decay and Devour, I feel like Kate and Jordan are kind of separate from the other work that I've published, because their love to me almost feels softer.
Yeah, I can see that for sure.
Yeah, like it feels softer. It feels like they took more time. Yeah, like to understand each other and like to meet each other where they're at and to lean on each other. I actually like at times will like be struck with anxiety where I'm like, oh my God, I'm like, people are reading about Kate and Jordan. And like, I just feel like they are just like my two little babies that I never want like anything bad to happen to ever, even though bad things happen to them in the books. Like in my mind, like they're all okay. So yeah, ultimately, like I love my books for all different reasons. But they can all be found in the same place. They're all on KU, and you can buy paperbacks wherever you buy those. But yeah, I love them all so much.
Yeah.
I love that.
I know that's like an impossible question. Like, hey, which one of your kids do you love more? Is there anything that you have in progress now that you could talk about or give us a little sneak peek?
Yeah. So I mentioned that I have like a bunch of sapphic ideas. None of those are all, before I start writing, they kind of like sit in my mind and kind of play out in my mind before I kind of like sit down and write them. So they're all still in my mind, but the one that I'm like actively working on is an MF pairing. These two are just like really in love. Like it's so
I love that.
like they're just so like in love. We have vampires, we have Ghosts.
I am so sad already. Give me a vampire romance, and that's literally my favorite genre.
Paranormal romances just hit different, I swear.
I am a lover of paranormal romance. I'm like, can I put ghosts in like every one of my books? Like,
yes.
Yeah, so we have it's set in modern time, but we, have an older vampire and a woman in her 30s. We have a haunted university, and
Ooh.
it's a little like Haunting of Hill House kind of vibe.
Okay.
I love that show so much.
Mixed with like a little bit of Midnight Mass. That is
cool.
hopefully coming out like end of the year, maybe.
That sounds amazing. Like there's just something about paranormal romances.
Yeah.
I love them so much.
You add any horror paranormal aspect into it, I'm there.
So what advice would you give to an aspiring author, and what advice do you wish that you had when you first started writing?
Ooh, I guess what advice I would give and what advice I wish I had would be the same, in that I'm like trying to formulate it in my mind, like in a way that doesn't sound funny, but like a reminder that like you are a real person. Like you are a person that is moving about in the world, and you have, loved ones, and you have a job, and you are multifaceted, and make sure that you aren't boiling yourself down to just a writer, because at least for me, like sometimes if I get too in my head about like, okay, well, I'm writing this book and like this is all that I have, the time for, and I need to check and see like where my book is falling, like do people like it, like it if you get too in the weeds about it, it doesn't become something that you enjoy anymore. Like you're fixated on all these other things, and it's like that, can ultimately like hinder your writing. Like sometimes that gives me writer's block, where I'm like, oh, I'm so fixated on like being online and like promoting it, but all I really want to do is like sit here and write, and like that's what I really set out to do. So I think like reminding yourself of like, get offline and like write when you feel the story come to you. You don't have to be like sitting down at your desk, and like, the mood doesn't have to be just right. If something comes to you and you got to write it on your phone, then like write it on your phone. You know what I mean? I think also just that timing is everything. Like, if you maybe push it too hard, it's maybe not going to come to you. And like, this is only just a part of what you do and who you are. I think knowing that going in would have been really helpful for me. And I think also like this is not writing advice, but this is like artistic advice for like other artistic things that I've done, where I had an instructor tell me, she was like, when you're in this class, like do not have any expectations, because if you have all these expectations about what you're going to walk away from this class with at the end and it doesn't happen, you're going to be disappointed. So if you don't have any expectations and you walk away with something, you're going to be happy about it. So I think like going into something with intention, but if you are bogged down by your expectations, it may kind of take away a little bit of that joy. So I think that's like advice that I would give, and also advice that like I still try to like remind myself of.
Yeah.
That's
I really like that. That's great. We work a lot with indie authors, so we always want to, like, when we talk to an author, we're like, well, what advice would you give other people? Because it's important. There's so much more to being an author than just writing a book.
So, and like
we
are, I say this all the time, and like my friends make fun of me, but I'm like, we're just like on a floating rock surrounded by other floating rocks. And like, there is so much to us as people. And, it can be so, especially like when you're anxious, it can be so easy to like get lost in the anxiety of like, and get the tunnel vision. But it's like, everything is going to work out the way that it needs to. And, let's remind ourselves of we're just hanging out on this rock.
Hurtling through space. Like
literally, yeah.
Well, thank you so much for taking the time out of your day to talk with us. We really enjoyed this and your story, and for letting us be ARC readers and now letting us do our second podcast episode on one of your books. It's been so much fun.
Oh my God, thank you. No, I'm so glad that you enjoyed it and that we got to do this. And yeah, I'm excited for, future books that you may like and hearing about that too. So yeah.
We're excited for the future book, girl.
Yeah, you're like, where is it? It needs to be on my desk.
Literally, like, okay, so we know Decay and Devour comes out on June 14th, but like,
when's the next one?
Right. You're like, it's got to be on my desk immediately.
Well, thank you again. It was an absolute pleasure.
Thank you.